oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours and you are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you've never failed and you won't start now. So I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours and you are mine. Oh, Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet
Readings from Isaiah 9, section 6. For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness, from that time on and forever. Cheonseongyam, version 1, book 3, chapter 1, section 5. God created the world with the purpose to realize his ideal of absolute love through the oneness of himself and human beings. He created human beings as his highest and very best object partner of love. Human beings were born as visible beings in front of the invisible God. When human beings are perfected, they become God's temples. God's ideal of true love is realized and fulfilled through human beings in the form of the parent-child relationship. Aju.
Hi, good morning. Let's be honest. In February, who was wishing it was summertime? Raise your hands. All right, so we appreciate the heat, right? We're happy when it's hot. We wanted it, we got it. Thank you, Lord. All right. All right, so I chose today's reading because I want to talk about chosen people today. What does it mean to be chosen people? So Abraham was first called by God and blessed. The concept of the chosen people came from Abraham, who was called by God and blessed with a promise. What was the promise that God gave Abraham? He said, God called Abraham, and the Lord said to Abraham, leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. All the peoples on earth will be blessed through you. That's a very great statement. I'm sure Abraham had no idea what he was talking about. I'm pretty sure that unless you study divine principle, nobody has any idea what God is talking about. Because God said, I will bless all the peoples on earth through you. Not just Abraham, but how could the world be blessed by everyone? Abraham understood that promise meant from his lineage, from his children, someplace in his lineage, there would come a blessing. How could the world be blessed by one man? How can the world be blessed by one man? So in the beginning, there is no real indication of what that means in the Bible. Finally, in the book of Isaiah, God clarifies that situation a little bit. He says, For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, right? And the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Love that one. But of the increase of his government and peace, there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. There will be no end. And actually, that's a really wonderful promise. And again, what does it mean? What does it mean? What is it going to be like? So, God gave more and more information about this Messiah. They called him Messiah. What is it going to be like when there's a Messiah? In the book of Isaiah 61, the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom to the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, and to comfort all who mourn and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning. So there's all this feeling, this coming of good news, freedom. Isaiah 65 is all over the book of Isaiah. There's all this good news in the book of Isaiah. Behold, I will create a new heavens and a new earth. The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind. What are the former things God's talking about? War, racism, bigotry, broken families, pain and suffering. Those are the former things. They will not be remembered. But be glad and rejoice forever in what I will create. For I will create in Jerusalem to be a delight and its people a joy. I will rejoice over Jerusalem and take delight in my people. The sound of weeping and of crying will be heard in it no more. And it goes on and on with other great things that are going to happen, other wonderful experiences that people are going to just be part of human experience. And there's more and more. God was so excited, basically, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. So much hope, so much hope. And finally, the Lord will be your glory. The sun will no more be your light by day, nor will the brightness of the moon shine on you. For the Lord will be your everlasting light, and your God will be your glory. Your sun will never set again, and your moon will wane no more. The Lord will be your everlasting light, and your days of sorrow will end. So it's really a wonderful, just glorious experience. What life is going to be like with the coming of this wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. That's going to be our experience. And of course, the world would be a wonderful place for people to live in. And I think the Jewish people thought, especially if you're Jewish, because the promise is continued. Aliens will shepherd your flocks. Foreigners will work your fields and vineyards, and you will be called priests of the Lord. You will be named ministers of our God, and you will feed on the wealth of nations. Sounds nice. Everything coming to me, everything good coming to me. Instead of the shame, my people will receive a double portion, and everlasting grace will be theirs. Oh, it gets better. I'm getting twice as much as everybody else. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. So this was as this information was disseminated, people became more and more excited about the idea of a Messiah. And they were looking for the signs of the Messiah, the time of the Messiah. Everybody wanted to be there when the Messiah got there. And they were looking forward to the Jewish people being raised up as the head and never the tail, being the leading nation on the planet Earth. Just all the blessings of God coming down here to Jerusalem, the chosen people from the lineage of Abraham. But the Jewish people have a little problem, because they don't know who the Messiah is. They don't know what he looks like. They don't know when he's coming. They don't know what he's going to do. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. And what happened? Jesus Christ appeared, claiming that he was the Messiah, and running into a lot of static, a lot of opposition, and not really meeting a lot of people's expectations because nobody knew what to expect. Nobody knew what was going to happen. So finally, Jesus' claim was refuted by the Jewish people, and he was sent to the cross to die. This is history. So today, 25% of the world's population, accepts Jesus' claim as Messiah. There's Christianity. But if Jesus is the Messiah, where is the new heavens and the new earth? Where is the ideal world? Where is the land where God's glory has risen, where the sun shines and never sets, where the Lord is your light? Where is that land? Where is there no more death or crying or mourning? We know that land does not really exist. So Christianity has looked to Jesus' promise that he would come again as the time of the fulfillment of those promises. And the Bible, we go back to the Bible. We go back to, what's going to happen at the time of the Messiah, the second advent of the Messiah. And then I saw a new heaven and a new earth from the book of Revelations. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Now the dwelling of God is with men, and he will live with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." Sounds remarkably similar to Isaiah 65, almost verbatim, repeating Isaiah 65. The exact same promise. Coming the Messiah, the establishment of the ideal world, and the new world of people where we live. So, in that sense, the Jewish view of the Messiah and the Christian view of the Messiah are somewhat similar. Magic God is going to send some magic person or God, or part God or part man, or whatever. And the magic man is going to change everything and make everything better. The trumpets will sound, or the fire will burn everyone to stubble, or he's going to keep all the good ones, like me, and get rid of all the bad ones. let you, and condemn them to eternal suffering in unquenchable flames, which they deserve. Anyway, being part of the chosen people is still a good deal, as long as I'm the chosen one. But of course, it's very hard in today's world right now for modern men to think of that as seriously being reality. That the trumpet will sound and everything's going to change and the bad ones are going to be taken away or the good ones are going to be taken away. I don't know which side it's going to be, but it's just going to be given to us. It's going to come out of heaven for us. And with the large majority of the population not being strongly Christian or Jewish or religious, do you think people really believe in some magic event happening and changing the world for the better? Do I really believe in some magic event, some magic moment and the world getting better? I don't. I don't believe in that. Do you think anybody really believes God or the magic man is going to come down and take care of everything and make my world a perfect place? I don't believe it's going to happen. But do I believe that we're living at the moment when we will see a new heaven and a new earth? I do. Why? Because I've already moved to that new heaven and that new earth. I'm already there. I think now is a time when people are very interested in career. Everybody's interested in career. There's a lot of activity there. There's a lot of tension there. A lot of drama going on. Doesn't seem like there's much peace happening there. It seems like that's an expansion of evil, expansion of problems. We know ISIS is expanding. There's a lot of violent behavior going on there. Drugs are expanding. There's a lot of problems that do seem to be expanding. There seems to be a great deal of problems expanding everywhere. But do I believe that there will be an increase of peace on earth and God's kingdom will be established now and forevermore? Do I believe that? I believe that. The news outlets, the stuff you see that's available to see, they report the work of men of war. They don't report the work of men of peace. But people of peace do exist. There are people of peace. And they are already living now in God's kingdom. And I've met people of peace. Have you? This room is full of people of peace. Different kind of people. God made some great promises in the Bible that we will have a wonderful counselor, that we will know a mighty God, and we will have an everlasting Father and a Prince of Peace. Is anybody qualified to be that person? Could anyone be qualified to be that kind of person? I would be very skeptical about that. I would be very skeptical about that. But I am here to tell you that I cannot be skeptical anymore. Because I've met somebody who can meet those qualifications. When I stumbled into Reverend Moon's church 40 years ago, I found the first convincing explanation of what it means to be a human being. And this is something that outside of this church, nobody knows this. Nobody. And it's very simple. When I read this, it's like, yeah, well, I know that. But this is divine principle of creation. Human beings are created to be the center of harmony of the whole cosmos. Human beings are created to be the center of harmony of the whole cosmos. That means we were born, we were designed to be the center of harmony. You are designed to be the center of harmony and peace. You're sitting in a chair. It's a chair designed to seat 20, 25 people. It's very strong. It's designed to do its job. When you sit down, it works. In the same way, you're designed, you're created. Human beings are created to be the center of harmony of the cosmos. Has anybody seen people? Has history seen people who are harmonious? Throughout history, we don't see harmony. We see strife, struggle, fighting, division, hatred, war. That's reality. Everybody experiences reality. So everybody thinks that's what human beings are. Everybody believes that. Everybody you work with, like Mr. Henry, everybody thinks human beings got drama, got problems, that's what it means to be human. He's only human. He went crazy. He's only human. But divine principle says human beings are created to be the centers of harmony of the cosmos. When we looked at this world, we saw the drama. We saw the anger. We saw the hatred. But when Reverend Moon looked at this world, he saw something different. Completely the opposite. Because he knew God. Because he knows God. And he knows God's extension, people, have God's content, God's character. So Reverend Moon believes something that's impossible to believe. But this makes the most sense to me of any statement about human beings. So what is the definition of a human being? What is the definition of a human being? Are we an animal evolved from an ape? The definition of a human being is a person whose mind and body are in harmony with God at the center. The definition of a human being includes God automatically. To be a human being, God is in your center. God is part of you, and you are an expression of God. You are a temple of God. So it continues. The place where Adam and Eve become perfectly one in heart and body as husband and wife is also the place where God, the subject partner giving love, and human beings, the object partners returning beauty, become united. Hallelujah. The place where husband and wife become united, heart, mind, and body, is the place where we meet God, become one with God. The only people who know this are the people sitting here in this room. The whole world is looking for a solution to human problems, but they're not even dealing with human beings. The only people who are talking about human solutions for human beings are us. Well, of course, I not only found the first convincing explanation of what it means to be a human being, I also found the first convincing explanation of why humans treat other humans so inhumanly. Across time, across culture, across nations, there's no restriction on human beings' bad behavior. There's no monopoly, no one people, no one race, no one culture has behaved more or less bad than anyone else. They've all been bad. They've all been evil in God's eyes. It's a problem common to every man, all mankind. That's the reality. That's the reality. And I'm not going to go into the fall of man, but I want to just say briefly that all human problems are at root an expression of the absence of love. Every single human problem is an expression of the absence of love. There's how many millions of people in the world are starving, where they're making appeals on TV for money to feed the starving people of the world? How many millions of people? Do we not have enough food on the planet Earth to feed everybody? We have enough food in America to feed the entire world without anybody else growing a thing. We have more than enough food to feed every person in the world. So the problem is not a problem of food, it's a problem of relationship. How many houses? We don't have enough houses in the world for people to live in. There's plenty of houses in the world. There's not enough material to build houses. Why are there millions of people around the world homeless? It's not because there's no homes. It's because there's a relationship problem. Love is a uniquely human experience and godly experience. Only human beings experience love. And being human, having love is an integral part of being human. The fall of man was a breakdown, the loss of that love, the breakdown of the love between man and God, the absence of love between husbands and wives. It came out of the fall of man. The absence of love between husbands and wives creates family problems. The absence of love between parents and children creates society problems. The absence of love between nations creates war. The absolute absence of love between races creates racism. The absence of love between religions creates prejudice, hatred. The absence of love between cultures, the absence of love between people who speak a different language, people who live on a different side of the street, people who comb their hair differently, people who have butter their toast on top and people who butter their toast on the bottom. The absence of love creates all human problems. And even as individuals, we all struggle even just to love ourselves. Ultimately, all human problems come from the absence of love between man and God. That's the loss of love, the fall of man. That's why fallen men can never resolve the problem of human problems. There are no political solutions. There are no economic solutions. Ain't nothing we can do will get the problems gone. Because problems are just an expression of the real problem, which is the absence of love. So the Bible says, behold, he makes all things new. That this Messiah, this mighty counselor, this wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, behold, he makes all things new. How does he make all things new? How does he make everything new? He resolves the problem of love. He recreates True love. What is love? Right? Who knows a definition for love? We know a definition for love. We've been taught the definition for love. Love is the force that makes two into one. Whatever the two are, love is what makes two into one. Love is also eternal, unchanging, unique, cosmic, divine. Love has those attributes: eternal, unchanging. If you love someone today and don't love them tomorrow, that was never love. Love is eternal, unchanging, never changes. It cannot change. Love cannot change. So how can he make all things new? By showing us the true love of a husband and wife, by showing us the true love of parents and children, by showing us the true love between nations, religions, and cultures. The Messiah changes what it means to be called a human being. And where does true love come from ultimately? It comes from God. So the one who will make all things new will be the person who establishes for the first time the love of God. He will be the person who establishes for the first time the love of a husband and wife. That meets the definition of eternal, unchanging, cosmic, unique, divine. He will be the person who establishes the love for the first time parents and children. And once you resolve this family love, you will resolve all other human problems. So in this movement, we call the Messiah true parents. That's the position, true parents, to give rebirth to us by resolving the problem of love, by resolving what it means to be a human being and to live in a human family. So I'd like to read some of Reverend Moon's words about the Messiah. Who is the Messiah? In what capacity is he coming? It is incredibly difficult to conquer the barrier and bring your separated mind and body into oneness. So the Messiah comes as a model or example of how to go directly to God. He is not only a prototype of a true individual, but also how to form a heavenly family. Eventually, the Messiah will establish a tribe, a nation, and a world which can be approved by heaven. So, what do we have to do? We follow the example. We have to follow the example. We don't get the trumpets to blow and become a good person. We don't get the trumpets to sound and my wife loves me. Internally, unchangingly, cosmic, uniquely divine. And I just sit here and bask in my goodness. It doesn't work like that. I have to follow the example. I have to recreate myself. But now, with the Messiah, with an example, we have something, we know what we have to do. The Jewish people didn't know what they had to do. They were waiting for the good times to roll. The Christians are waiting for the good times to roll too. But they ain't rolling out there. There ain't no magic man snapping his fingers to make my world perfect. But there is somebody who shows me what I have to do, who I have to be. And all I have to do is follow that example. A lot of people are following examples out there. I don't know how old you were when your friend offered you a cigarette. Who was not offered a cigarette when they were young? Raise your hands. See, he grew up in this church. Who the hell else didn't get a cigarette? Who the hell on earth doesn't get offered a cigarette by his friends? Who didn't do that? I was offered a cigarette. I had the good sense not to be able to smoke it. I didn't like it. So I never got to smoke a cigarette in my life. So I thank God for that, but I didn't have nobody telling me not to do that. That was just my lucky day when I couldn't smoke that cigarette. But everybody else, they worked at it. I'm going to get this. And, you know, they all smoking themselves into a grave. But they had examples to follow. The parents were smoking, right? Everybody's smoking. We have different parents, right? We have different examples to follow. That's how come we are different. And sometimes you know, it's nice to talk about all this stuff, but the world is still, North Korea is still building ballistic missiles, and if he throws one over towards New York, and if the North Koreans' aim is as good as the rest of the stuff they make, it might probably hit us instead. But, and so we have a lot of drama in our lives too right now. But it's not like we should be surprised, because Jesus said, you know that one, chapter 24. Chapter 24. Okay. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you'll be hated by all nations. All right. You will see the abomination. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. These are dire, dire consequences. The time we live in is, living in the last days is no fun. Living in the last days is no fun. There's lots of stuff, lots of drama happening, and this is what we're seeing. This trembling. This is all predicted by Jesus. But take hope. So then I want to just read from Father's words. Apollo's 11 actual performance took only a few days. Apollo 11 went to the moon and came back. But years of research, thousands of people, and billions of dollars were involved. If you draw a picture of the Earth and the moon, you can jump from the Earth to the moon and back again on paper. It's that simple. By the same token, if you picture the unification church in God's ideal world, you can easily jump back and forth. You have done it on the blackboard and also in your mind. The actual launching of Apollo 11 was not that easy, however, and neither is our launching to the kingdom of God. So we're glad to be here. We're glad because we do have a mighty God. We know mighty God. We have an everlasting Father called the true parents. The Prince of Peace, we know where peace comes from. I see a vision of a world. Japan, Korea, Philippines, Peru, Argentina, United States, Germany. The world should be like. We don't need passports. We just need to show up. We're going to my brother's house. That's how Father looked at it. I'm going to my brother's house. Do I need a passport to go to my brother's house? That's not the world I live in, but that's the world that's coming. I know that's coming because true love exists. I've seen it in action. I've tried to copy it myself. I live with someone that I try to love truly all the time. And so we all got some ways to go. but we're doing a better job than anybody else. And I try to do that job wherever I am, even at work. And it's not always easy, and I'm not always right, but I know what right is, and I can always try again. Nobody else can try because they don't have true parents. They don't know what the Messiah is going to do, but we know. So let's get out there and tell them what the Messiah does, that he saves us by being the example that we will follow. Yes. And not just follow, I'm going to do it. And then when I do it, I'm being an example of somebody else. So you can do it too. May God bless you all. Thank you very much.